Welcome to Yo-11 Minutes. Yo-11 Minutes, mostly Vegas, no BS casino experience and more. Today's episode, Vegas April Fool's realities and no joke, MGM collection stars and Luminous. This is episode 68, season 2. Michael Traeger is a casino and travel loyalty expert who also helps people turn their travel dreams into reality. And if I'm saying all that, that means guess what? He's actually here today. And now your host, Michael Traeger. How's it going, Michael?
we're joking about the crazy YouTube thumbnails that we're having fun. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be back. I'm sorry I've abandoned Movestro, but it's okay because he's taken really good care of you.
Oh, it was all right. I did pretty okay. I do say so myself.
Yeah, no, it's all good. We just keep that content coming out on a consistent basis. We just don't have the really good thumbnails. Yeah. We'll work on that. Okay, can you work on that? I mean, you got to put more effort into that. I hear it's all about the shock and awe thumbnails. We're not doing enough shock and awe lately.
Yes, it's shock, awe, and angry. That seems to be the stuff that people are drawn to for some reason.
Yeah, do we still have a few more hours for Tropicana, huh?
Oh yeah, we do have a few more hours for Tropicana. However, the liquidation has just begun. Let's go to the news and views. The Tropicana Las Vegas liquidation sale has begun. The liquidation is being held by International Content Liquidators Incorporated. Items from Tropicana's hotel rooms to restaurants are on offer at ridiculously low prices. Low prices as in you could get a toilet for $3, a dresser for $1, a king-size Serta Perfect Sleeper presidential suite mattress for $100. All the equipment from Baccio, Robert Irving's, Chillum, Red Lotus, Havana Club, Trago, and other eateries are on sale too, as well as banquet equipment, theater seats from the Legends and Concert Theater, and pool furnishings. If it's at Tropicana right now, it's on sale. If you're in the Las Vegas area, you can take home a piece of history that you'll likely have to explain since most items do not have any Tropicana branding, like, hey, that flat screen over there, that came from the Tropicana. The website you could go to is iclsales.com, and when you're there, click on current sales. That'll show you Tropicana, click Tropicana, and that'll take you to the listings. And that's going to do it for the news. And now for the views. Michael, what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking it's sad to lose another Vegas casino, but I think these sales are pretty interesting. But like you said, there's a lot of things that are not branded Tropicana. Yeah, my other thought was that you'd probably want to run a black light over some of that furniture before you took it.
That for sure will be a piece of history.
Yeah, because there might be a lot of history in those hotel rooms.
Might be bringing home more history than you bargained for. But dude, like $100 for a Serta Perfect Sleeper presidential suite mattress. That's a steal, man. That is a steal.
Yeah. They have great deals. I mean, it's probably really smart. I mean, it's one of those kind of things that's like a sort of an opportunistic thing. Like if you need the stuff that they have there at the time that they're doing, unless you're in the liquidation and resale business, it's always sort of hard to time that kind of thing. But if you think about it, they just got to get rid of all that stuff. I guess liquidators do pretty well, but it is all used. So that's also another category that's sort of harder to sell, but it's sad. I did hear the stained glass might be saved or sent. That's true, right?
Yeah, the stained glass, any of the historic parts of the property are going to, or between Yesco, the sign company for the Neon Museum, and a bunch of other like art preservation places and history places and museums. So a lot of the history is going to be doled out and preserved through various entities.
Yeah, but that stained glass was not really part of the original structure. That's something that showed up like in the late 70s, actually. I think when it was sold to Ramada, when they got rid of all the mob skim, because that was a hotel that was known for a lot of mob skin, but that skim, not skin, skim.
Yep.
But that stained glass was a relatively new thing. They just had so much trouble trying to reinvent that property. I think once, I guess, like they always say, once they lost the mob connection there, because there was a ton of money leaving that property. It was one of the infamous hotels with regard to mob skim. It's also the infamous hotel where Tony Ronzoni, remember, walked out in front of traffic after leaving the baccarat tables.
Yep.
So so that's another thing. They had some pretty great baccarat there. I actually saw on eBay somebody was selling a big baccarat felt from Tropicana. If you look on eBay every once in a while, you find these big baccarat felts because nobody really wants them. Well, some of the table felts garner a decent amount of money, but I think big baccarat is just something people are not that interested in. But those days are gone.
Indeed. And with that, it is time for the tease. Take it away, Michael.
Sure. So part of today's topic was April Fool's Day realities, because today is April Fool's Day. And I've seen a bunch of April Fool's jokes on the internet. Many of them talk about Las Vegas. I think we see more and more of that every year. Actually, the funniest one I saw today, I don't know if you saw this one, Movestro. It was one where they said they decided that they were going to implode the first tower of the Tropicana, and all the guests had 60 seconds to get out of the building. Hello, everybody. Attention, attention. We have decided we're going to implode the first tower today. Please get out of the building as soon as possible. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know why that one made me feel so funny. And I get a little bit on I go off on a tangent with the April Fool's stuff, most of which I will never share with the general public. But I was thinking, if you went back to like 1980 and you started to talk about some of the things which are normal today, like resort fees, and the way it would be phrased, it was like, April Fools, like, guess what? You're going to stay at a hotel and pay, I don't know, fill in the blanks, $150. And on top of that, we're going to charge you another fee for $50 that gives you nothing. And people would be like, oh, that's so hysterical that there's going to be a fee tacked on when you check in for $50 that basically doesn't give you anything. And things like F1, and also they're going to close down the Vegas Strip and run race cars on it. Oh, yeah, that's And then the other thing about and soon, one day you'll pay lots of money for room service and it's going to be delivered in takeout containers and you're going to be charged a service fee and a gratuity for that. And people would be like, oh, my God, that's so funny. That's a great April Fool's joke. Or if you want to check in early at a resort, but you get to the resort and there are tons of rooms available and they can absolutely check you in, but they're going to charge you a $40 fee to check in early. Anyway, all the April Fool's realities, and that's what I was sort of thinking about. Like, so many things that we joke about are really April Fool's realities. And one of those things was me joking about room service. And I did tweet out today about what would happen if, MGM has now revised their room service and it's starting at Bellagio and it's just going to be KFC and McDonald's delivered to your room. And if you have like if you spend a minimum of $200, they're going to set it up and make it look really pretty. But they're going to charge you a $30 delivery fee and a $25 setup fee and also a 30% gratuity on top of that. So that's my April Fool's, which is probably not so far from reality. And this is the wonderful image that ChatGPT designed for me, saying that I wanted to basically show fancy bougie room service at Bellagio, Las Vegas. With KFC, a bucket of KFC, and a McDonald's Big Mac.
It did an amazing job, not gonna lie. That's
yeah, and look at those fries. Those fries are great in that bucket. It's like a bucket of fries, but you know, that's Anyway, these are the things that entertain myself and Movestro. But it is sort of, I don't know if it's sad or funny or a combination of sad and funny to think about. So many of today's realities might have actually been considered a really bad April Fool's joke, 20, 30 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago for some of them. So that's sort of where I was going. But the good news is that MGM collection, which is the MGM collection for Marriott Bonvoy, has officially announced the Stars and Luminous properties. And Stars and Luminous are the luxury program is Stars and Luminous are the luxury programs for Marriott. And previously, the Cosmopolitan was the only one that was part of that program. And the Cosmopolitan was Marriott Luminous. It was AC Collection, but none of the other properties were because they weren't any form of Marriott property. If you recall that the MGM properties were associated with Hyatt. Well, now all of the MGM properties are associated with Marriott and Marriott Bonvoy, and they have something specifically called the MGM Collection. So Stars is the more elevated luxury program that is part of Marriott Luxury, and then Luminous is the slightly less elevated one, but it's a little bit confusing because they've done some deviations from what they've done for Stars and Luminous at other properties. First off, you'll notice that the properties for Stars are Cosmo, Bellagio, Aria, Sky Suites, and Sky Lofts at MGM. But Luminous is just regular Aria, MGM Grand, Mandalay Bay, Park MGM, and Vidara. And what are the benefits? Well, the benefits for Stars will be anyone booked under the Stars program will get two $30 breakfast credits per day. So basically $60 for breakfast, a $100 food and beverage credit per stay, $5 credit on resort fee for complimentary Wi-Fi. That one always makes me scratch my head a little bit. And early check-in and check-out, late checkout, and also a one-tier upgrade based upon availability. Luminous is basically the same, except you will not get a breakfast credit. You only get the $100 food and beverage credit. And it is interesting to differentiate that this $100 credit is a food and beverage credit. So it is no longer a resort credit that could be used for spa or other things, but just food and beverage. I think that's actually a positive because most people, it's easier to use these credits for food and beverage. What gets very confusing here is that Cosmo used to be Luminous and Cosmo is now Stars. So the benefits stay about the same. Breakfast is now $60 a day instead of $75 per day. But the thing is that Luminous has no breakfast credit. But for any other Luminous properties outside of the Vegas market, they all have breakfast credit. So for those who are used to the Marriott luxury programs, they're probably going to be a little bit confused by this Luminous credit. And the other thing to notice or to pay attention to is Marriott Stars and Luminous, like like many of these luxury programs, are aligned with what's usually about the best flexible rate. But there are sometimes lower rates than best flexible rate. So you really need to compare this stuff. I was looking for somebody at Mandalay Bay, and I think that falls under Luminous with the $100 credit. And the AAA rate for this 6-night stay was $2,300, whereas the Luminous stay was $2,693, so almost $2,700. And then there's another program which is MGM Roar, which was $2,566. So you sort of have to pay attention to what the rates are because sometimes you're better off getting a promotional rate or AAA rate instead of doing the luxury rate if it's a multi-day stay and basically the lower price per night is going to make a really big difference. Now on one night stays, these programs are banging because you like that? I got that. These programs are banging because Because for stars, you know, if you stay one night and you get a good rate at Bellagio, you're going to get $100 credit and a $60 credit for breakfast. That's like $160 worth of credits at Cosmo, Bellagio, Aria Sky Suites, or Skyloft. Those don't really count. It's really so Cosmo, your sweet spot here for a one night stay is going to be when the rates midweek are low at the Cosmopolitan or Bellagio. And for especially for a one night stay, if you have a short stay or a stay on top of a comp stay or something like that, it's going to be really great because you're getting about $160 in benefit on that one night stay. Obviously, if it's a two night stay, you get $100 and then you get 60 and 60. So it's not as good because it's $60 a day for breakfast. And of course, with Luminous, you're not getting any breakfast credits. So that's sort of like a little bit of a sad trombone because Movestro can probably make the sad trombone sound. I should have that. We should have sounds queued up. Exactly. And that would be Luminous because you're only getting the $100 credit. So that's important to pay attention to. I'm not going to get into it right now, but I have every reason to believe if you happen to have MGM status, gold or above, resort fees should still be waived for these luxury programs. But I have not confirmed this yet. I repeat, I have not confirmed that, but it should be waived for the MGM Roar program, which is nowhere near as good as this program because that's only $30 a day for breakfast. Though it's at a few of the less bougie properties. They do allow the waiver of the resort fees. That's something I'm trying to find out. The thing is that there are going to probably be very few people who are going to be mostly, especially if you qualified for MGM Gold or above and you did not match. But remember, if you can get the waiver from MGM Gold, and if you can match to MGM, and remember, you can still match to MGM, but you can only do it for 90 days. So in theory, if you were able to match to MGM, and you can get the waiver on resort fees, and you can get a good midweek rate for Cosmo or Bellagio under Marriott Stars with the $100 food and beverage credit and the $60 credit, that can be a pretty decent path, especially with the resort fee waiver. So we'll have to see how that pans out, but that would be the best thing. And like I said before, always look at all those different rates, but it's something good to keep in mind. And that's all I got for you today.
All right. Well, before we get going, do you have any closing remarks or anything on your mind?
Lots of things on my mind, but I'm not going to share all of those right now because that might make this episode go too long. But I am very happy about this development with Stars and Luminous. I wish it was slightly more generous, but I guess, you know, Vegas is a really busy market, so you know, you sort of take what you can get. Also, it is really nice to see some benefits at MGM Grand. I'd say just all of this just gets very, very confusing with comparing the rates. I mean, it doesn't get confusing if you're going during a period of super high occupancy and the rates are all high and you don't have many choices. But when you're going during a lower occupancy period, you got to pay attention. Especially there are a lot of dates in April. I've poked around a little bit, and even Resorts World, can you believe, has room rates that are as low as $89 per night. So there are some definite there are still deals to be found in Vegas. They're just not as easy to find as they used to. And I wanted to also thank Movestro for all of the amazing episodes that he put on over the last week or so. And the comments, people, maybe we'll do comments tomorrow, but I know people really enjoyed those episodes, and I thank him for doing that. And I will try to get you a couple of episodes this week before I leave for the wonderful country of Finland.
Ah, Finland. We'll have to do a thing about Finland. Yeah, that sounds like good. I mean, no, it's not Vegas, but uh, we should.
It's not Vegas. It's
Why
not.
not?
But there's a lot. No, we definitely should. There's a lot of the other thing is too, though we always say we're not going to mention it too much, but I think a lot of the reports have just dropped about the success of F1, or at least the complete overview of all the financials of F1. So that's pretty interesting. Guess what? Short story, it was successful.
All right.
I'm sorry. You see, we suck here because if we could come up with things like the city is doomed, everything is doomed, it's all horrible.
People would love that
Can
shit.
you?
I don't know why.
I know.
They would. All right.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And I'm so disappointed every time I get drawn into a clickbait kind of episode of something, and I'm like, oh, you totally tricked me. That's why we don't trick you here. We're completely transparent. We have no trickery going on, except for the fact that I am dreaming of a Big Mac and a KFC bucket next time I go to Bellagio.
Yeah. That right there. That right there. And that's going to do it for this episode. Luxury travel booking, TravelZork Travel. Visit us at TravelZork.travel to plan your next amazing vacation. And please join the conversation on social media. You can find us easily. All social platforms are at TravelZork. We'll see you next time. The Tropicana Las Vegas liquidation sale has begun. The liquidation is being held by international